Hi, I'm Victoria Pearson, but you can call me V, and every single video that I'd planned to do for this week and the next few weeks actually involved the use of a functional shoulder that can lift and carry things. And if you've been watching my shorts, you will have seen me complaining every morning about how much my shoulder hurts. And I can barely do this without it hurting. And so I'm trying not to lift and carry and fetch too many things at the moment. And so I've had to come up with another last minute chaos vlog for you. But if you watched my video a couple of weeks ago where I talked about my goals for 2024, I talked about my writing goals specifically, and one of the things that was on my list of things that I wanted to do was to participate in the open mic night at the Queer Vegan Cafe where my daughter works. She's been asking me to come along and do the open mic night for ages and ages. And so I need to test out a couple of stories and see if they're about the right length and about the right sort of tone and things like that. I don't want people getting bored and wandering off and chatting amongst themselves while I'm trying to tell the story. I was going to read you my Queer Cinderella retelling, which I do love, but when I read it out just now, it took about 40 minutes to do, and I think that is probably a bit too long to expect people to sit quietly for. So I'm going to try a different one. This is from my collection called Once Upon a Twisted Fairy Tale. It contains a lot of fairy tale retellings as well as a few original fairy tale pieces. I do have some of those in my other books, especially the Strange Stories collections, but those are mixed with other types of short stories and poetry, whereas these are exclusively the fairy tale-ish ones. But the story that I'm going to read you today isn't a retelling, it's just a fairy tale style story. It is aimed at adults. This isn't entirely unsuitable for children to hear, but this story is aimed at adults, so you might want to listen to it before listening out loud with children, if that is what you're doing at the moment. So, if you're comfy, then I'll get started. This story is called The Beat Goes On. The trouble is, no one believes in fairy tales anymore. Back when I was a kid, some people still took them seriously. My Nan did, certainly. She left cream out for the little folk, touched wood, sprinkled salt, and always warned us to stay on the paths if we ventured into the woods. She even gave me a tiny iron horseshoe to keep me safe. I should have kept it. But nowadays, with our lives so dominated by social media and selfie sticks and double shot mocha cappuccinos, we're lulled into this false sense of security. The woods are just somewhere I jog through, not another world of mystery and magic. I was panting along, on course for beating my personal best. The only sound was the slapping of my feet on the path, the thudding of blood in my ears. I was totally in the zone. Then I noticed the annoying little stone in my shoe. I tried to ignore it, but after a few steps I realised I couldn't. Look after your feet and they'll look after you. If I ignored it, I'd get a blister and that would totally mess up my training. I reluctantly stopped, stepped off the path to sit on a convenient log and sorted it out. As soon as I sat, it was like the volume had been turned up on the world. I could hear the wind sighing through the canopy, the birds calling to each other. The sun was warm on my back and the air smelled so sweet. I lingered too long, breathing in the magic of the woods. And then I heard it, or maybe felt it, I'm not sure. The steady beating of the drums, the low, intoxicating oboe, the high, infectious pipes that make my toes tap. I should have stayed on the path. Nan warned me, but I wanted to see where the music was coming from. I walked away from the log, away from the path, struggling through the bracken. Each time I thought I was nearing the source, the wind changed, and just like that, it was far away again. I tripped on a bramble whip and stumbled, and suddenly he was there, catching me. He was not of this world, that much I know. It wasn't just the antlers or the forest colours that swirled over his skin or his deep, hypnotic amber eyes. No mortal creature could be so perfect. Naked but for a deerskin loincloth, every muscle perfectly defined as if sculpted by angels. I was suddenly very aware of my sweaty tracksuit, scraped back hair, and the spot on my chin that hadn't bothered to try and cover. I tried to burble out a question, but he held a finger to my lips, and suddenly all I could hear was the music. All I could feel was his warmth. His fingertip left my lips, trailed slowly down my neck, along my collarbone, down my arm. He entwined his fingers in mine, and I let myself be led into the clearing where the other fae folk danced. I've never been much of a dancer, but with him leading me it seemed natural, easy as breathing. Like being drunk, but without the queasiness, I span and danced with the beautiful ones, laughing as they ripped my clothes from my body, paying no heed to anything but the beat, the dance, his hypnotic eyes. I don't know how long I've been dancing. I carry on through light and darkness. Through the heartbreak of him leaving, my bloodied feet continue to dance. I laugh through the jealousy as he brings some other girl to the clearing. I sing with the fair ones as we rip at her clothes. I am the dance. I am the music. Somewhere inside, the old me cries out to stop, to rest, to go home. But the music never stops. The beat goes on. I really hope that you enjoyed that story. That was The Beat Goes On. You can find it in Once Upon a Twisted Fairy Tale, but you can also, I think, find that one on my blog, which is on victoriapearson.co.uk. And you can find exclusive stories from me that you won't find in my books or on my blog on my Patreon, which has currently got a little 2-week free trial if you want to give it a try before you buy. If you're a fast enough reader, you might be able to read everything on there before you ever have to pay me a penny. I'll be here next week, Monday, 6 a.m. UK time, just like I always am. I'm pretty sure we're going on a day out vlog next week because it's half term. I've got the children here. I've got my husband here for one of the days as well. But it will be very weather dependent on where we go, so I won't tell you where we're going to go yet. If you can't wait until then to see me again, I do understand. I am pretty awesome. But I will be here every single morning in your shorts, taking a great big deep breath, letting you know what I'm grateful for. I love when you join in with that. Sometimes I complain about what I'm not grateful for, like my saga of my shoulder. And I will also be here on a Witchy Wednesday doing a little intuitive card reading for you as well. You have yourself a magical week.